Chapter 6. Opening his eyes, he saw the chairs now empty and a chill of loneliness came over him. He sat up, yawning, staring sleepy-eyed at the smoking spliff on the table. "Is that you?" he asked, hearing cupboard doors opening and closing. "Andrew, are you back?" "It's me," Steve said. "I'm in here." He came to the balcony doors. "I'm hungry," he said. "I want to eat." "But where's Henry?" Anders looked into the room. "He went to bed. It's just us now." Steve took the can of creamed corn in his hands. "What is this?" He waved it in Anders' face. "Tell me." "My roommate had it for supper with toast." "Where's the bread?" "We don't have any." "Why mention toast?" "It's just creamed corn. Just eat it." "Creamed corn?" Steve said. "I don't know about that." He placed the can on the kitchen top and stared at it whilst rubbing his belly. "I am hungry though," he said. "Is this all you have?" He took his pocket knife. "I'll eat it," he said, jabbing the can. "I don't care." Leaning over a candle, Anders lit the remains of a spliff and watched him twisting his knife into the can, reminding Anders of a fisherman prying open an oyster. His knife slipped. He stared at Anders while sucking blood from his knuckles. Then he was jabbing the can again, jabbing and twisting the knife. "I'm getting there," he said. "This is progress." The can was marked with holes and dints. He showed it to Anders, before continuing and missing again, slicing his finger. "Cool and gutter!" he yelled, jumping in the air. "Cool and gutter!" He wrapped a tea towel around the finger. "It stinks," he said. "I was almost there, but it stinks." He returned to his chair at the table. "We have a tin opener," Anders said. But Steve ignored him. His arms were on the table and he wore the tea towel over his head like an Arab. "Well," Anders said, "that's me for the night." He giggled. "I imagine you want to sleep too. I imagine you have work tomorrow." "I don't care about work," Steve said. "And this party ain't over." He reached into his pocket, placing several tabs of acid on the table. "You haven't passed the acid test." Anders looked at them, seeing a small print of Jimi Hendrix's face on the front, and in his innocence he assumed they might be collectible postage stamps. Though that seemed odd to Anders, surely Steve was no stamp collector. He thought a head stamper maybe, but no stamp collector. He continued to stare at the tabs while Steve spoke about the crazy American that had given them to him, and how the American kept calling him the Eggman. "The Eggman," Steve said. "What could he mean?" "Maybe because you're bald," Anders said. "Because of your bald head, egg-like, the Eggman." Steve felt underneath the tea towel with his fingers. "I'm not," he said. "I shave it. I'm certainly not bald." "Of course," Anders said, trying not to laugh. "He was just tripping," Steve said with acid on his tongue. "And so will we." "But what are they?" "Acid LSD trips." Steve took another one. He drank beer with it. "Easy, like taking bread at church. Now you go." "No thanks," Anders said. "I want to sleep. I'm feeling tired now." "But the acid test," Steve said. "It is time." He laughed without joy, a cruel fake laugh. "Come on." He moved the tabs closer to Anders. "Look," he said. "You're going to join in." "But..." "Don't argue with me." "But I'm so tired. I thought you were too. You couldn't keep your head up before." Steve leaned over the candle flame, his eyes glaring in the light. "I was awake," he whispered. "I was awake the whole time." He rocked in his chair. "I was waiting for Henry to go. I wanted more acid for us." "But I don't want acid." "Look, Andy said you'd be up for this." "He probably meant a beer or two, a few beers on the balcony." "You and Henry laughed at me." He kept rocking in his chair, then leaning forward and messing with the beer cans. "The weed made us act silly." "Just take the acid, Anders." He put some on his fingertip. "Just do half." He leaned across the table, reaching for Anders' lips. "Tomorrow," Anders said, turning away. "Tomorrow, tomorrow." Steve held a beer for him. "Please, Steve, tomorrow." You're arguing again. I'm so tired. Don't argue with me. Tomorrow, please, tomorrow. Thing is, I'm not going anywhere. Anders got up. He held his chair and packed his words with as much authority as he could muster. I don't like this, and I'm tired. You're not listening to me. I will not be dictated to in my own room. Steve laughed, waving his arms in the air. I'm only joking, he said. I won't force you into anything. He laughed again and took another beer. Look, he said with his fingers over the ring pull. Just finish this beer with me. Yes, and then I'll leave. Anders sat down, conceding that a beer with Steve was better than staying up through the night and doing hard drugs. Okay, he said. One more beer. He took and opened a can from Steve and drank as fast as he could. Then Steve was laughing again, nodding, rocking in his chair. Was that druggy? He said. Sorry? Anders said. What did you say? I said, was that druggy? I mean, yummy. I guess so, Anders said. Is it bedtime now? No. What do you mean? You said tomorrow. That's right, I did. Well, by my clock, it's past midnight. Please, stop this now. Anders stood up again. It's been past midnight for ages and I'm tired. I'm so fucking tired. He paused suddenly. His eyes were on the table studying Steve's hands. Left hand, right hand, eyes flickering between both. Where are the tabs? He said. Get up, and help me find them. But Steve stayed in his chair, laughing, rocking back and forth, like those creepy mechanical clowns at the fairground, laughing. Good drink, was it? Steve, where the hell are they? 2 each will be plenty. Would you agree? Anders was under the table on his hands and knees. I didn't want any. He searched the empty cans, tipping dregs of beer out onto the decking. You bastard, he said. You rotten bastard. He got up, tipping more cans over on the table, moving his fingers in frothy puddles. You didn't. Tell me you didn't. The pink elephants are coming, Steve said. The acid test has begun.